Children, please get ready with page number 26. We'll continue from here. Defarge pulled the ragged curtain slightly. So if the curtain of that room where Dr. Manette was put, that had a ragged, torn curtain, the old worn out curtain. The old man on the bench was now clearly visible. He had a long white beard and a pale hollow face with very bright blue eyes. You can see the combination of this, what you call, Dr. Manette's appearance, that though he had white beard, he was a white-haired man, okay, his face seemed to be hollow face and colorless yellow, pale hollow face, but his eyes were really bright blue eyes. He had bright blue eyes, and this showed that he had his eyes were full of vitality, okay. It was full of life. Though he had grown old, he had grown weak, he was a dejected personality in life, but he had a lot of vitality in his eyes. Vitality refers to he was liveliness in his eyes. His shirt lay open at the neck, and it was possible to see that his body was all bone with just a thin layer of skin covering it. So all bone with just a thin layer of skin refers to his physical self, that he was a skinny personality. He was quite skinny. Okay, he had grown skinny, and one could see his bones through the skin. Okay, he put his hand to his eyes, and the bones seemed almost transparent. So as Defarge opened the window, when the light fell into the room, he tried to put his hand to his eyes, and one could see the bones, okay, his bones through his transparent skin. Defarge approached him. Defarge, he moved towards him. "You have a visitor." These are the words of Defarge. I have written over here. Please, children, keep a pencil in your hand and keep marking. "What's that?" The doctor doesn't know how to respond also. He says, "What's that?" "A visitor." The shoemaker looked up towards the man Defarge was pointing to. He did not let go out of the shoe he was working on. It shows that let go of the shoe means he did not stop mending the shoe. He did not stop repairing the shoe. He continued his work as he looked up to see the person whom Defarge was pointing. Okay. Now Defarge said, "That's fine. That's a fine shoe. Show it to the gentleman." So that is how he had started a conversation with Dr. Manette. Mr. Lorry looked carefully at the shoe. "What kind of shoe is it, sir?" So this is Mr. Lorry. The old man thought for a moment. So you can see the old man, that is Dr. Manette, was not in his proper self. Okay. His memory had grown weak, and he had to think, what kind of shoe is it? "What's that?" Again, he just simply did not have words even to, utter or respond to the person. So the words he only repeated was, "What's that?" "The shoe. Who is it for? And who made it?" It's Mr. Lorry. "It is a young lady's walking shoe." Defarge repeated Mr. Lorry's last question. "And the maker's name?" There was a silence for a moment, while the old man's empty eyes tried to look out through the windows of his inner world. We are not talking about the window which was there in the room. This windows over here, spoken about, refers to the mind. He started thinking, mind of Dr. Manette. He started recalling that what was what was the maker's name, right? So you can see that he started recalling, and over here it refers to his thoughtfulness. He became little bit thoughtful, okay. He started thinking who the maker was. "Did you ask for my name?" This is doctor. "I did. 105 North Tower." So instead of his name, what does he speak out? 105 nota. Over here we can clearly make out that doctor was not in his real self now. After so many years of his imprisonment, he was really a disturbed personality and he seemed to be not in proper self. His memory had become quite weak and he did not even how to respond to a certain question to the person. 105 nota. So this Mr. Lorry must be repeated. Is that all? 105 nota. So only this, what he remembered was 105 nota. Mr. Lorry looked sadly at the old man to whom he had once been so close. So over here, looking at the condition of Dr. Manette or Dr. Manette, Mr. Lorry he grew sad. Okay, only the old man's bright blue eyes had not changed. The rest of him was unrecognizable. Unrecognizable means that he could not be recognized by his ways, by his words and by his activity. Okay, though he was a doctor, Dr. Manette was a doctor by profession, but one could not make out that what he was now. Mr. Lorry tried to trigger a memory. Trigger means he tried to, boost up his memory. Okay, you are not a shoemaker by trade. By trade over here refers to by profession. No, I asked them to let me learn. I have been making shoes ever since. So over here we come to he says that he asked them refers to the one who must have imprisoned him to help him learn to make shoe. Okay, so the old man returned to his work as if retreating into his own world. That this shows that this old man had been living in his own world. Own world means in his own self. He did not know what was happening around. He did not know who all are there around. Okay, he did not recognize anyone, not even a single person around. But he again came back to his work. He started, repairing his shoe. But Mr. Lorry persisted. Okay, he just kept on. Mr. Lorry did not give up. He said, Monsieur Manette, do you remember me? The old man looked up. Lorry put his hand on Defarge's arm. Do you not recognize the old servant here and your old banker? So he helps him recognize him. This Mr. Lorry speaks. Okay. The old man looked at them blankly. He could not get his memories back. As Defarge took Mr. Lorry by the arm and led him aside. Do you recognize him, monsieur? So Defarge took Mr. Lorry by the arm and led him aside. Do you recognize him, monsieur? At first I was not sure, but now I am certain it is he. All right. And he did not have the name. He said it is he. While Defarge and Lorry were talking, Miss Manette had silently walked over to the bench and sat beside the old man. Over here you can in a subconscious state, you see the state of Miss Manette. She was in a great shock and she had become like a lost case, and she quietly stood up and reached the bench and sat beside the old man. At first he did not notice her, but slowly he stopped working on the shoe and stared at the tears streaming from her eyes. So Miss Manette had tears in her eyes as she sat close to her father. Okay, and the tears started streaming down her eyes. And when in the beginning, old man did not notice her, but when all of a sudden he saw her. Okay, he looked towards the person sitting next to him. He noticed that the tears were streaming from her eyes. What is this? Hearing her father's voice, her hands trembled at her lips. Are you the jailer's daughter? No, she sighed. She sighed over here. She took a deep breath. She was sobbing. She was crying. She was sobbing is crying silently. The tears were streaming through the eyes. You can really make out over here and see the condition of a daughter. Even a father could not recognize her. What does he say? Are you the jailer's daughter? She says no. That the old man took a piece of string from around his neck that had a rag tied to it. He unfolded the rag and took from it 4 blonde hairs, the same color as the hair of the girl, who now sat beside him. He took the hairs into his hand. Then he looked at the girl with wondering surprise. So did you notice what happened? This Dr. Manette, okay, after questioning her that if she was the jailer's daughter, the old man had a string which was tied around his neck, okay, and this string had a rag tied to it, a old worn out cloth. When he unfolded the rag, a piece of cloth, he took out 4 blonde hairs, okay, golden colored hair. And what did he do? He tried to match those hair with those of Miss Manette, okay, and he looked at the girl with surprise. So we really feel that Dr. Manette had recalled his memory, and he was slightly trying to recognize the girl. How can it be when I was brought to the Bastille? She laid her head on my chest, and when she was taken from me, I found them and I said, I will keep them. They may not help me escape in body, but they will in mind. So what great, sentimental words did this Dr. Manette speak. See, if you could understand it, children, you can just whenever, after I explain you this chapter, I want each one of you to read this chapter again. This is quite sentimental. You will really feel that the story over here. It's the reconciliation or the meeting of a father, the long lost father with his long lost daughter. Okay, so he says that how can it be that he's not able to, believe that. He recalls that when he was taken to Bastille, when he was imprisoned, okay, there this little girl, he recalls the little girl, okay, she had laid her head on his chest, and when she was taken away from him, he found these 4 strands of hair on his chest. And what did he do? He decided to keep them, though they would not help him escape from the prison, but they will surely help him to escape from the horrors of the realities of life. So those precious treasure of his little daughter would really soothe his mind. Okay, soothe his mind. Soothing the mind means give peace, calm his mind, give peace to his mind. He looked at the hairs again. Was it you who laid your head on my chest? No, it cannot be. You're too young. When Defarge and Lorry realized that the old man was responding to his daughter, they moved closer. Miss Manette spoke gently. Don't, gentlemen, do not speak. Do not move. Okay, now Miss Manette was in such a state. She was near to her father, after so many years. So she did not want to disturb. She just wanted to hear her father's words only. Okay, now she told the gentlemen, that Defarge and Lorry, not to move from their place. Do not speak also. Let Mr. Manette or Dr. Manette continue what he is into. The sound of a voice awakened something long forgotten in the poor soul. Whose voice was that? I know that voice. Who are you, my angel? So over here, you can actually, even I feel like crying over here. The father could, realize after hearing this voice of a daughter, he was awakened from the long sleep, like you can say hibernation, no? So he could recognize the voice, and he just came to this point that, who are you? My angel. I cannot tell you my name now, or who my mother and father were. It is not the time that this is not the place. For now, please, just hold me. Miss Manette laid her head on the old man's shoulder, so that her radiant hair shone upon his cold white head like the light of freedom. She held him close and rocked him to her like a child. And how she sat with her father, she held him tightly. She laid her head on his shoulder and rocked him just like you rock a baby's cradle. No, she rocked him like a child. That was a signal. That was a symbolic vision of the freedom to Dr. Manette's long years of imprisonment. Children, I've just tried to finish up till here. Then in the next video I'll continue, because I've also grown a bit sentimental over here. Now, as if we would have been in the class, we would really had cried if you were really serious in the class. Now let's continue. I have come to tell you that your pain is over. I am taking you to England, where you will have peace and rest. So these are the words of Miss Manette. Laurie looked at Defarge with concern on her face. Okay. Do you think he's fit to travel? Like he was worried over here. Okay. Mr. Laurie had a concern on his face. That means he looked worried. Do you think he's fit to travel? Better to travel than to stay in this place. In this place over here, he says it's better for him to travel, to go away from this place. Actually, if he stays in this place for a longer time, he will not be alright. So it's better for him to stay to travel. So then I'll end up the video up to here. In my next video, we'll continue with the next part.